rocking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
Johnson throws. Flores takes it. It gets by the catcher. Fitzgerald breaks for the plate and he scores. And that's how the Giants win the game. Amazing. And maybe it was a night where the Giants were going to need a little help. They got it.
Yeah, the Giants get the help they need, and they win the series opener against the Atlanta Braves last night in 10 innings. Who says you need to get a clutch hit to win a game in extra innings? The Giants proving otherwise, but the offense may be coming around a little bit over the course of two of the last three games at least. We welcome you in. It is Giants Warm-Up. It's John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley here on this Saturday morning. It's the Giants and the Atlanta Braves this afternoon at Oracle Park. It's game 2 of the 3-game series, and the Giants continuing on here, game 6 of the 7-game homestand. And all of a sudden, what a difference 3 days makes for the Giants as they get the win last night, and they make it 3 in a row after a couple of the most difficult 2-game stretch of the Giants season, losing the 2 games to the Padres to begin that series. And then you're down 5-0 on top of that on Wednesday after they shuffle the deck and make a couple of roster moves. But to be able to come back, and not only be able to come back in that game and win, it really flipped it. You know, they come back, they win that game 6-5. They're able to come back and score a couple of runs and then make it stand up for the remainder of the game on Thursday. And then last night, they jump out early. You got the Braves, fewest errors in the National League, and they're kicking and throwing the ball all over the ballpark in the first inning. Giants actually get a lead last night, which they don't hold, but wind up in a 4-4 tie into extra innings. The Manfred Man does not do them in, as it did on Monday and Tuesday against the Padres. And then, the Giants just making things happen. Tyler Fitzgerald, for the second time in his career, scoring the game-winning run on a wild pitch, and the Giants are able to get the job done 5-4 last night to win their 3rd in a row and improve to 36-28. They had gotten to a point where they were only 5 games over the 500 mark, which was as close to 500, believe it or not, as they had been since they were 8-3. You got to go all the way back to the first 2 weeks of the season to where it felt like the Giants were, I think, at a tipping point, at a crossroads, one of the many potential tipping points or pivot moments in a 162-game season. And, for the first time, Buster Posey was really forced to determine when was going to be the right time to make some changes to the roster after so much of what the Giants had done in the lead up to this season was to try and not have the continuous and constant roster shuffle that had been in play in the Farhan Zaidi era, the Zaidi, Kapler, Zaidi, Melvin, at least for last year era, and they wanted to go about doing things differently. And I think that agenda is what got the Giants off to the great start. The fact that it was refreshing, but it like in any sport, sometimes that's only good enough to get you off to the start that you need. And then when problems inevitably pop up, you got to be able to make the adjustment. And the Giants this week, again, doing what they do. They're winning close games. They're winning low-scoring games, although, again, they got to 6 on Wednesday in the comeback victory against the Padres. They get to 5 last night. And the key additions here this week for the Giants, in particular, Daniel Johnson, who's back in the leadoff spot for San Francisco this afternoon. We'll give you the Giants lineup coming up as Logan Webb takes the mound against the Braves, who are going in the opposite direction. Braves got off to the horrible start, 0-7 to begin the year. They played the Padres and Dodgers right out of the chute, and they were really coming around, but they've lost 5 in a row, and they've lost a couple of real tough ones blew a 10-4 lead before coming out to San Francisco and then losing walk-off fashion last night to the Giants. But the guys that were part of the roster shuffle for the Giants are doing the thing. Daniel Johnson sparks the comeback win on Wednesday from down 5-0. Dominic Smith's driven in a pair of runs in each of the last 2 games, hitting sacrifice flies. Couple of them, which again you'd think are those illegal? Are those not part of baseball? I mean, the Giants really struggling to get the big hit, but even the big out that would lead to runs at different points. But a couple of sac flies from Dominic Smith last night, driving in a pair. Again, he's driven in a pair in each of the last 2. And Buster Posey showing a knack for the right time to make changes, and it's paid off. To the tune of the Giants suddenly winning 3 straight games and getting back to 8 games over 500. They're closer to their high water mark now at 10 over than they were 3 days ago when they were as close to 500 as they had been all year. So all told, I think, and you look at this lengthy stretch of basically 3+ weeks where the Giants really struggling to hit with runners in scoring position, struggling in some games to even set the table, to have opportunities to hit with runners in scoring, just not hitting, period, and wasting some pretty outstanding pitching performances. One from Robbie Ray. I mean, you lose a 1-0 game that Robbie Ray pitches, and then you lose a 1-0 game that Logan Webb pitches in the best game of Logan Webb's season in his last start. And it gets frustrating. And then to have the lead on Tuesday in game 2 and have Duvall back in the closer role, have things get away from him. You lose that game in 10, and it wasn't really slipping away, but it feels like, even in June, like the great start at a minimum was slipping away. And the one thing you didn't want to see the Giants do is waste the good start to a point where it started to feel like, oh yeah, this is a team that's much closer to just middle of the pack than they are to the teams that are potentially contending for a wild card spot. So you look at it, they win 3 in a row. Everything's feeling much better. Logan Webb going today. 105 first pitch at Oracle Park. And all of a sudden you look around and, the Dodgers are not playing great baseball. The Padres got a win in Milwaukee to bounce back off of losing the final 2 of the series to the Giants. But you look at the National League West standings as things sit here on June 7th, and the Dodgers come in with the lead, but the Giants are only 2 games back of LA, only a game back of San Diego. San Diego currently sitting in second. And then you look at the wild card standings, and the Giants are currently holding the 3rd wild card in the National League. But it's all jumbled up. But of course, there's basically 4 months to go in the season, and it's still early, as they say. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's John Dickinson sitting in here for Kerry Crowley on this Saturday. Giants warm-up, Giants and the Braves on the Sports Leader. Logan Webb against Bryce Elder at 105. We'll get you the Giants lineup, which is out. And we already mentioned Daniel Johnson in the leadoff spot in center field. Jung-Hoo Lee getting a day. And that was one of the things Bob Melvin talked about with the infusion of Daniel Johnson and some of the other roster moves, is looking to maybe rotate some of the outfield days off. You saw Mikey Yastrzemski get a couple of days. Jung-Hoo Lee had basically been playing every day. So Daniel Johnson out there in center field. Again, we'll get you the full lineup with Logan Webb on the hill. Marty Lurie's going to join me. Looking forward to that. Always love talking baseball with Marty Lurie. 10:50 for Marty, and we'll have an extended conversation on the homestand in the week, the Giants getting back to doing the things that make them their most successful when they are successful, which is winning the close ones and finding ways sometimes to win the close ones even without getting a hit, as they did last night in 10, but they were hitting the ball around the ballpark, got off to the 3-0 lead. Last night, the bullpen continues for the most part to be outstanding. Hiccup for Ryan Walker, been a couple of more hiccups there. Maybe lately as he gives up the 2-run bomb to Olsen. But you look at everything as it stacks up for the Giants. The bullpen is elite, and I think the most sustainable component to this team. The starting pitching has been outstanding. Led by Robbie Ray, led by Logan Webb, led by Landon Roop, who will pitch tomorrow. And the Giants are maybe starting to snap out of it a little bit with some of the roster shifting and changes that were made on Wednesday, with a couple of those guys that we talked about making some positive contributions to, 6 runs on Wednesday and 5 runs last night. I mean, the Giants were struggling to get to 3, get to 4, get to 2. Hell, score a run in some of these games. But maybe they're getting off the schneid a little bit as they win their third consecutive game. So 808 KNBR, how you feeling about this team? We'll get into some of the details of last night's game. We'll set the table for this one. Marty Lurie coming up at 10:50. It's Giants warm-up with JD in for Kerry Crowley here on a Saturday on the Sports Leader.
JD on a Saturday just feels right.
Here's his pitch. It is a broken bat, slow roller to third. Charging Chapman, has it, throws to first. Just in time to get him. What a play by Chapman. Wow. Not only was it hit so softly, but he also had the runner going from second to third to contend with and might have had to slow down a little bit.
Our KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
Yeah, not an easy play. Matt Chapman, though, the king of making plays with a high degree of difficulty, and that was a huge one, getting the Giants out of the top of the 10th with the bases loaded. Spencer Bivens coming into the game, cleaning up the mess made by the Manfred man and Eric Miller. And then the Giants go on to win 5-4 in the bottom of the 10th. Dave Fleming on the call. We're back here. John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley here on a Saturday morning. Giants warm-up. Giants and the Braves. 1:05 first pitch with Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. That's the number to give us a call or shoot us a text here on this Saturday, talking some Giants baseball. Giants looking to make it 4 in a row as we open the program. What a difference 3 days makes. I mean, this team appeared to be really flailing and feeling the frustration of all of the close losses and all of the inability to get the big hit with runners in scoring position or set the table to score runs. But the 5-0 comeback has seemingly reinvigorated the Giants. All of a sudden, they're winning close games. 12 straight now games for the Giants decided by 2 runs or less. And you look at San Francisco, and I think, overall, as frustrating as this stretch has been, it's really gone back 3 weeks from today against the A's after the Wilmer Flores 3-home run game, which was 3 weeks ago last night. And all of the struggles for the Giants to score, I mean, you look at the fact that they've still been able to win, and I think that's, this has not completely cratered their hot start and beginning of the season to where you feel like they've wasted it by any stretch. And a lot of that is, you get a couple of close ones against the A's, and they've still held their own. You get the one against the Royals. You win a couple of low-scoring games in Washington. The series that really had everybody concerned was the Tigers series, but nobody's playing as well across the major leagues as the Tigers. 42-23 coming into this thing today, and 22-8 at home. So it's not like a lot of people are going in and beating the Tigers right now in Detroit. But you get swept in that series, bounce back. And again, it really has not been as bleak from a one-loss standpoint over this stretch as it has been from a numbers standpoint in terms of the scoring prowess and hitting prowess. And look, all of those numbers up to and through Tuesday night were horrific and did not bode well unless some changes were going to be made for the Giants. And dipping back to 5 over, as we talked about in the first segment, I mean, that was a potential for a lot of trouble. But they've held their own. Again, I mean, you really look at this. They sweep that A's series. They drop 2-3 to the Royals, but they win 2-3 against Washington. They win 2-3 against Miami, surrounding the sweep against Detroit. And then you come back and the Padres series gets off to a horrific start with the extra inning losses and can't hit, can't score runs, can't generate any kind of offense. But you split that series, and now all of a sudden you're 3-2 on the homestand. And you look at the last week, and you're 5-3 in the last week, coming off of getting swept in Detroit and how ugly that particular series was. Logan Webb and Bryce Elder today. The Giants lineup is out. So let's get you that here. Daniel Johnson leading off for San Francisco in center field, and he was a big-time spark on Wednesday. Got the nod in the leadoff spot on Thursday afternoon. Jung-Hoo Lee and Mike Yastrzemski back in there last night in the series opener against the Braves. But Daniel Johnson in center field, so no Jung-Hoo Lee for the Giants on this Saturday afternoon. Elliot Ramos has been hot. He's in the number 2 spot. Again in left field. Wilmer Flores, the designated hitter, batting third for the Giants. Matt Chapman in the cleanup spot. And what a huge homer for Chapman Wednesday to really fuel the Giants' comeback in the game where they were down 5-0. We talked about Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith batting 5th and playing first base. He's played a solid first base. Couple of sacrifice flies last night. He's driven in 2 in each of the last 2 games. And he bats 5th. Willie Adames batting 6th and playing shortstop. Mike Yastrzemski in right field batting 7th. Patrick Bailey, day game after a night game, caught last night, but you want him out there with Logan Webb. So he's batting 8th and catching Logan Webb. And then Tyler Fitzgerald, who scores the game-winning run last night on the wild pitch in the bottom of the 10th. He is in the 9 hole and playing second base. And you got Logan Webb, who was phenomenal in his last start against the Padres on the mound against Atlanta, and he pitched well against the Braves in a couple of games last year. And really, I mean, this is what it's about when you look at the momentum. You get a game like last night where Hayden Birdsong wasn't really hittable, but too many walks. The Giants didn't really play a clean game last night, which I think as you look at maybe some of the keys to today, you look at, caught stealing, getting picked off a couple of times. Not a good night for the Giants on the bases last night overall, even though it ended well with the wild pitch walk-off. But yeah, Hayden Birdsong not really hittable last night, but 5 walks in 4 1/3. But to be able to get the performance that you did from Tristan Beck to clean it up, from Tyler Rogers after Walker gave up the home run to Olsen, Doval gives you his inning where he strikes out the side in the top of the 9th. And then Spencer Bivens getting the ground out in the 10th with the bases loaded. Too many walks last night for the Giants. 5 Birdsong, obviously, the one in the 10th inning was an intentional pass. But to be able to win that game, and now you got Logan Webb going, and you got Landon Root going tomorrow, and you got the Braves going in the opposite direction, who've lost 5 in a row, and they've lost some pretty difficult games at that. Now you got a chance. And then, oh, by the way, you're playing Colorado after this. So if the bats can continue to get going to the tune of manufacturing 4 or 5 runs, somewhere in that range here for the next couple of games, and Logan Webb can build off of his best start of the season from Monday night against the Padres, now all of a sudden you got action again if you're the Giants, and you're right there. This stretch, as frustrating as it's been for the Giants, it hasn't killed them. In fact, you could make the case it hasn't really cost them. And it also allowed for Buster Posey to really have to deal with some legitimate adversity for the first time and difficult time in terms of having to make a roster shakeup and send a couple of guys out and DFA Lamont Wade, but so far it's paid dividends. And finding the right time to make those moves where you're patient enough to where everybody feels like they got a fair shake, but also aggressive enough to know that it's time to shake it up. Those are things that I think garner respect within a clubhouse. And then when you have the guys that are brought in immediately come in and make an impact on the positive side of things, it just exponentially helps the vibe surrounding a team. And that's exactly what's happened here. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's John Dickinson in for Kerry Crowley here on this Saturday. Giants and the Braves coming up. Logan Webb on the hill, 105 first pitch. Couple of afternoon games for the Giants and the Braves today and tomorrow before the Giants hit the road. And we're talking about it right here on the Sports Leader.
Well, and 7 walks, and I mean, it was not our cleanest game of the year, but finding a way to win at the end, and we've done that plenty of times here at home. You know, you put away the mistakes and everything that's gone on over the course of the game, and you try to get one run in the 9th, and how we did it was a little unorthodox, but we'll certainly take it after, like I said, maybe not playing our cleanest game.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the sports leader.
Definitely not the cleanest game for the Giants last night, but victorious, as Bob Melvin mentions. We welcome you back. It is Giants warm-up. John Dickinson in for Kerry Crowley here on this Saturday. Giants and the Braves, 1:05 first pitch. Marty Lurie is going to join me coming up here at about 10:50. And the Giants are finding ways to win at home. 20-11 at home now with the victory last night. And the Giants doing it again in walk-off fashion. The 7th walk-off for the Giants among their 20 home victories in 31 total games. And they're getting back to winning the close ones. As you've seen now, 3 straight one-run victories for the Giants. And we talked about it in the last segment, the fact that the Giants now have played 12 consecutive games that have been decided by 2 runs or less. So that's just Giants baseball. I mean, it feels like it has been for the last 2 decades. And I think for the most part it has, to varying degrees of success, obviously, at the pinnacle of the dynastic 2010, 12, and 14 championship runs. But then there have been times where, they've lost a lot of the close ones, and they've lost a lot of the close ones in part because of the inability to get big hits. But we've seen that act before from the Giants with the walk-off wild pitch and the, runs thrown in by the opposition in terms of errors and all of those different things. But 20-11 at home is outstanding. And, I mean, you look around at the majors, and we'll kind of run down the 7 walk-offs here as the Giants now sit at 36-28. But you look at 20-11 for San Francisco. And by the way, Atlanta going in the opposite direction, 10-21 now on the road. And the Braves had gotten, they were starting to play better baseball. They were 0-7. And then they had gotten to a point where they were 27-30 basically. So they were like 27-23. Like they were playing pretty good after the 0-7 start. I think trending in a positive direction, but they've lost 5 in a row. They're 8 out now in terms of the wild card in the National League, and 4th in the National League East, and 12 games back of the Mets, who currently lead the National League East. So the Braves are a team that I think, and a pretty formidable lineup on paper, but I think the Braves, you get off to a bad start, you fight so hard to come back, any kind of little losing streak can really set you back again. And I think that's where the Braves have found themselves. But looking at the Giants right now and the 20-11, I mean, it's right up there. I mean, in terms of best records, there are a lot of teams that are playing really well at home, but they're right there with the Padres 20-10. The Dodgers are 23-11 at Dodger Stadium. The Cubs are 20-11 at Wrigley. Cardinals 21-10. I mean, it's give or take a game and a half from having the best or at least a top 2 record in the National League at home. The Mets have been unbelievable at 24-7. The Tigers have been great. We talked about them, 22-8. But the Giants right up there among a host of teams, a lot of teams. Seems like there's a more dramatic home away split across the league, really, for everybody. But the good teams are obviously going to be the teams that can play great at home and basically split or do better than split on the road. And the Giants at 20-11 home, 16-17 away. But yeah, they've been really good. And the 7 walk-offs for San Francisco, and it's been a number of different players and a number of different ways for the Giants as you look at the walk-off wild pitch last night, although the guy who's been at the plate for 3 of these has been Wilmer Flores. Walk-off walk against the A's 3 weeks ago today. Elliot Ramos with the walk-off single against the Rangers the day after Patrick Bailey with the walk-off single against the Rangers, as the Giants took the final couple of games of that series. Yaz with the walk-off. Yaz with the walk-off against Cincinnati back on April the 9th, and then Wilmer Flores single against Seattle. They had a couple against Seattle that first home series on the Friday and on the Sunday. Willie Adames with the walk-off single there. So, yeah, 7 walk-offs for the Giants. And, you know, a lot of it has been the great pitching. A lot of it has just been the relentless nature. You know, the Giants have more comeback wins than anybody, which I think is, you know, that's impressive. You know, it shows you the fight that this team has. I think it shows you how good the bullpen is, too, because they have the ability to get down. And there have been a number of games. I mean, you look at the job, even on Wednesday, a guy like Sean Jelly, you know, comes in and stops the bleeding with the Padres up 5-0 and allows the Giants an opportunity to come back and get back into that game. But even on nights and days where the Giants get off to these poor starts, they have often given themselves opportunities late in games, and they haven't always come through, but they've been coming back and making things happen and being able to rally from behind. I mean, to the team, we're talking 13. I mean, we're talking 13, 14 comeback wins from, you know, down multiple runs. And, you know, that's been something that's separated, you know, this team from, you know, maybe some of the, you know, a team that would be sitting there right now at 500 and sort of middle of the pack. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Logan Webb, Bryce Elder. Giants and Braves, game 2 of the 3-game series. Game 6 of the 7-game homestand. Giants 3-2 on the homestand. Logan Webb looking to build off of an outstanding outing on Monday against the Padres. 8 innings, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts. Webb's been striking guys out of late as well. 16 ground balls. I mean, he's just been making it happen. 10 strikeouts in Detroit. Gave up, single runs in the first, second, and third innings, unfortunately. That put the Giants behind the 8 ball in that game. They were unable to come back and get the job done with the offensive struggles there. But he ended up 10 strikeouts, and that wasn't even a great game for Logan Webb. 6 innings, 3 earned, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. Struggled against Kansas City. But, yeah, I think you look at, and even when Webb's okay, even when he struggles sometimes early in games, he still always ends up getting in, pitching 6, pitching 7. But he's been really good at home. We got some numbers also coming up for you as to how good Logan Webb's been at Oracle Park overall this season, because it really, other than the start against Kansas City, he's been outstanding at Oracle Park and comes in 5-5 with a 2.55 ERA, 91 strikeouts, and a 1.17 whip. And the Giants looking to keep the positive momentum going here and take game 2 of this series, win another series. And that's something the Giants have been doing. I know it hasn't always felt like it, but they have been winning series. And getting the split against the Padres was massive, considering the way that the first 2 games of that series shook out, and losing a couple of games in extra innings and all of the struggles there. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. If you want to jump in and join the conversation, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. We do appreciate those of you watching on YouTube and Twitch as well, as we get you closer to first pitch from Oracle Park. The Giants and the Atlanta Braves. Marty Lurie is going to join me next here on the Sports Leader.
And the 1-2. Coming in. Here comes Fitzgerald. This game is over. Unbelievable. Well said. How do you do it?
Mike Krukow, Giants win 5-4 in 10 innings. The walk-off wild pitch, not the first time for Tyler Fitzgerald in his career. Giants have won 3 in a row. They're back at it this afternoon, 1:05 first pitch. Giants and the Braves, game 2 of the 3-game series. Logan Webb on the mound against Bryce Elder. It's a pleasure here as it's John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley on this Saturday morning and on into the afternoon here before game 2 of the series to talk to Marty Lurie. Marty, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, JD, great to talk to you. Glad to see you back on the baseball beat and right on schedule, man. It's June. Things are happening. The ball club's right in the middle of everything, and you nailed it. Tyler Fitzgerald knew that Pierce Johnson was going to throw the curveball. He's done it before, and he bounced it, and Tyler Fitzgerald came in. And, you know, the whole thing was set up so beautifully. I mean, in the ninth inning, you know, he ends up getting picked off or something happened with him, and he ends up making the last out in the ninth inning. And we knew he was going to lead off, be the lead runner in the 10th inning, and he's a fast guy. And that was a good weapon for the Giants, and they win at 5-4. Good game.
Yeah, really good game. And the Giants, it was good to see them get out and score some runs early and put the ball in play. And the Braves are kicking it around early. They jump out to the 3-0 lead in the first inning. The Braves come back. And, again, not the cleanest game. We heard from Bob Melvin. You get 3 guys out on the bases, a caught stealing, a couple of guys get picked off. But to be able to just hang in, as we've seen this team do frequently, and just find ways to win. It really started Wednesday with some of the roster shuffle. And I'll say this, Marty, I mean, what's impressed you? Because the guys they've brought up, whether it's been Johnson on Wednesday, he sparked the comeback. And, yeah, it was Chapman and it was Ramos, but Johnson was there making things happen in that game. And Dominic Smith, I mean, you'd think sacrifice flies were illegal in San Francisco, but he hit a couple of them last night. He's driven in 2 in the last 2 games. The moves, it was the right time, I think, to make them. But anytime they immediately pay off, it really invigorates a ball club, I think.
Well, absolutely, because the moves had to be made. The bench had to be rebuilt. Bob Melvin couldn't go to the bench and get anything done. And he really was not getting anything done at first base. And then Carcione was back, and Schmidt is here, but he needed that left-handed bat. Now, Dominic Smith, he's played baseball in New York. He's played baseball for a while in New York. He knows how to play baseball. You don't last in New York for 7 years and not know how to play baseball. And what he's given him, he's 3 for 9. He's got a couple of walks. He's played good first base. But he got the sacrifice flies. He got 2 last night. They were huge sacrifice flies. And not only that, he's hitting 5th, which means that Adames is not hitting 5th. He's hitting 6th. Because when they got around Chapman, and they would sort of work their way around Chapman to Adames, and we know, unfortunately, how Adames is hitting, that would be the end of the rally. Well, Smith is in that position now, and he's got to be dealt with, and he's come through big time. So I think the bench is rebuilt. Kinzer is the catcher. We'll probably see him in there today with the day game following the night game. And then with Yastrzemski in the deep slump, Daniel Johnson, who's had tremendous AAA numbers for a number of teams. He was with San Diego, he was with Cleveland, the Orioles, Washington, and he's been in Durango, Mexico. And the kid's from Vallejo, and he can swing the bat. And he gives them another alternative in the outfield. So I like the moves. I think they came at the right time. And they make the big pitch when they have to make it. And that's the story of the 2025 Giants.
Yeah, it is. And look, I mean, Daniel Johnson, I'll use a term you like to use a lot. He makes things happen. He makes things happen. He's flying around defensively. I mean, the play he made the other night to save the game, he's getting on base, and he's got an energy to him. So he's in there in the leadoff spot. Let's run through the lineup again here real quick, because it is out for this Saturday afternoon.
Good.
Daniel Johnson in center field, so no Jung-Hoo Lee today. And I know Melvin had talked about the fact that he wanted to start spreading around the off days a little bit with Yastrzemski and maybe Jung-Hoo Lee and maybe getting Ramos off his feet or into the DH role a little bit. So it's Johnson in center field, Elliot Ramos in left field, Wilmer Flores, the designated hitter, batting third, and then Chapman in the cleanup spot, Dominic Smith at first base, Willie Adames batting sixth, Yastrzemski, Bailey's in day game after the night game, surprisingly, against Logan Webb, or to pair with Logan Webb, rather, and then Tyler Fitzgerald. So pretty standard lineup. The only difference from the norm here, I guess you would say, is Johnson in for Jung-Hoo Lee. But yeah, Patrick Bailey out there to pair with Logan Webb when he's coming off his best start of the year on Monday.
Yeah, I like it. I like Johnson leading off, and he didn't play a lot of center field. He's mainly been left field, right field, so we'll see how he does in center field today. But as I said, JD, this team last night was so typical of the way they play. First of all, Atlanta. Atlanta's in trouble.
Yes.
They sent Kimbrel out today. He pitched one inning yesterday, and it was reminiscent of a game years ago with Tippy Martinez, and Len Cicada was brought in as the emergency catcher for the Orioles and never had caught before. And Tippy Martinez put 3 runners on and picked all 3 off. Len Cicada never caught a pitch. And so it reminded me last night with Kimbrel, getting rid of a couple of the runners and striking Flores out. But this Atlanta team is very much like the Giants. They are not hitting. They're not hitting up to their capabilities at all. And if you look at the numbers, they almost match the Giants. But defensively, they've been a terrific team. And last night, they were not a good defensive team, and it cost them the game. But Kimbrel was sent out today. That's how cumbersome their bullpen is. They had him for one day, and he came in, and they've seen enough, and they designated him for assignment today. So Atlanta is a team that they're kind of a corner team in the National League. I mean, they're trailing the Nationals right now. And this is a team, the Mets are playing really good ball. The Phillies are playing decent ball. They've got some trouble. Harper went on the IL today. Atlanta needs some wins. They need some wins. They'll be 20 back before you know it, and their season will be over. So they're always a dangerous team, a team that has to win. And they're in trouble now. They had that game the other day with Arizona where they're up 10-4 in the ninth inning. And they gave up 7 and lost the game 11-10. And then got on the plane and had to come west. So we're not seeing Atlanta at their best right now, and it's a good moment for the Giants. But for me, the Giants make the big pitch when they have to. And you look at Tristan Beck coming in, and he picks up Birdsong, gets out of the inning, gets out of trouble when it looked like Atlanta was going to get really back in the game, and not just 3-2. And then you go further into it. You get Rogers with the clean inning. You get Walker, and they got to clean up the inning for him. Duvall gives you what he gives you. Then Miller, they got to clean up for him with Bivens. And they're getting it done. They are getting it done with the bullpen. And that is the story of this team. Today they may not need as much bullpen with Logan Webb against Bryce Elder, but the bullpen, they make the big pitch when they have to. Even though they'll give up a run here and there, and it's not perfect, the guys come in and they pick them up. And to me, that's been the story.
No, it really, and Beck last night in particular, and Bivens. I mean, to have Bivens, get thrown into that spot, it's bases loaded, and anything can happen. And he looked like struggling to find the strike zone, but he makes a pitch that gets put in play, and then Chapman with a hell of a play there to end the top of the 10th. Great play. I mean, just everything going on. Guys coming at him and runners moving everywhere, and in a big spot, Matt Chapman comes through. Matt Chapman's been coming through a little bit with the bat more lately, which the Giants have needed. It's really been him and Ramos and the new guys over these last 3 days. Do you get the sense the Giants are coming out of the hitting funk a little bit, at least for them?
Yeah, absolutely, because that's the story of baseball. Ramos is now hot. Flores is getting the bat on the ball again. Lee is starting to do things. He's starting to get doubles again. Chapman, even though, it's not perfect for him, he's starting to drive in a couple of runs. Bailey, believe it or not, is putting the ball in play a little bit more. They're coming out of it a little bit. And then, of course, you get Smith in there. They're going to need Encarnacion, and I know he didn't have a lot of spring training, and he's been hurt. But he's 0 for 11. Starting to hit the ball a little harder. Even the ball he hit last night to short was smoked pretty good. They're going to need him. But for me, it's the pitching. And every day they put a guy out there that can win. And today it's Webb. 81 innings, JD, on the year for him. The whip, 1.17, 91 strikeouts. You look at the All-Star possibilities, Ray and Webb could both be on the All-Star team, and both could be in contention for the Cy Young with Zach Wheeler and maybe one or two others. So it's the pitching has been the story, but I agree with you. The hitting is starting to pick up a little bit more. They still kind of get stuck in that 4-run range or less, but it's starting to pick up. They're starting to hit the ball a little better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and even a consistent run of 4 to 5 runs. I mean, we've seen what a difference that makes because the pitching has been so good. And I mean, really, it's been Ray and Webb and Roop has been, really good as well. And so I think, those are all things that you have to keep an eye on here moving forward. And the bullpen has been really good. Just a quick roster note here as well. Sam Huff, who was DFA'd the other day in the roster moves, cleared waivers, so he's been outrighted to AAA Sacramento. So he ends up staying with the organization. As you listen to KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM San Francisco, the sports leader. We move into hour number 2 here. It is Giants warm-up on this Saturday. John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley. Pleasure to be joined by the great Marty Lurie here, as it is going to be Logan Webb and Bryce Elder coming up at 105. Bats are starting to come around. What did you like from Logan Webb in the last at? His strikeout numbers have been up a little bit, still getting a ton of ground balls. But I thought against that Padres lineup to go 8 innings, to scatter the 6 hits, to not get in trouble early, and to be able to get the big strikeout when he needs it. I mean, he was dealing against San Diego.
Yeah, he is. And, he's a quality pitcher. He just is. And you know you're going to get something good from him. If the ball is up a little bit more, they'll take it to left field, take it to right field, go the other way on him. Or take it to left field if you're a left-handed hitter. So that's the one thing to watch with him is if the ball is up and they take it the other way. And when he's given up a lot of hits, that's what's happened to him. But you're going to get a good game. He's tough. He gets the ground ball, double play when he needs it. And even with Elder, there's a lot of ground balls with him. You're going to see a lot of worm eaters today, as they like to call it. But Elder, 49 innings, 8 home runs given up, so maybe the Giants can do something there. Webb very rarely gives up a home run. Adames, believe it or not, 3 for 10 with 2 homers against Bryce Elder, so maybe that's a good sign there. You can run on them a little bit. The Giants are running. If they get any sort of lead, they are going to run. 5 stolen bases, only 2 caught stealing against Elder, so that one jumped out at me today. But the Braves have seen Logan Webb a lot. Acuna 2 for 9 with a homer. Albies 3 for 9. You go down on the list. Harris 6 for 11. How about that with a homer for Harris? Murphy 1 for 7. Olsen. Boy, is Olsen made for this park or what? How about that? 6 for 22 with a homer. What do you think about that, JD? Olsen.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's fantastic. I mean, he's tremendous. I mean, no, he's just the quintessential. Pull the ball, hit it up onto the arcade kind of a guy, right? Like every time he comes up, you kind of think something's going to happen.
Yeah, he's made for this park. He really is, and the pitch that Walker threw him was perfect. It was up, and he could get the meat of the bat on it and do that. You got to be so careful with him. He's a big one. Ozuna 4 for 15, Riley 6 for 22. So they've all seen him, and they know what to do with Webb. But this, again, the Giant bullpen is better than the Braves bullpen. The Braves bullpen has fallen apart a lot lately. Iglesias, who lost his closer's role the other day, the guy who was in the game when Arizona scored 7 runs in the 9th inning, his name was Blewett. And he certainly blew it, I'll tell you that. And now he's gone. They DFA'd him, and he's already been picked up by, I think, some team in the American League. But let me ask you this, JD. How do you like the division? The Dodgers get smoked by St. Louis. St. Louis is great at home with 21-10. San Diego 2-0 over Milwaukee. And Vasquez gave him 4 innings there, then it was into the bullpen. Then the Giants, then you get Arizona suspended game. They pick it up with Cincy today. But the thing about, for me, this division, everyone's talking Dodgers, give it to them. Hey, they got 26 losses. San Diego has 26. The Giants have 28. And the Giants have all these games coming up, and they're sort of turning the corner a little bit, I think, as you point out. And maybe they're getting San Diego, Atlanta, the Dodgers at the right time.
Yeah, I think they're hanging in, which I think is important. And I think at least to this point, maybe the Dodgers get hot at some point, Marty. But when you look at the standings right now, I mean, just you're 2 back. You're right there. Yeah, you're 2 back. And you're 1 back of San Diego, and you're in one of the 3 wild card spots. And look, there's a lot of good teams. The Phillies are really good. The Mets are great. The Cubs have surprised. I think that they're as good as they are, and they've hit as well as they have. They're leading in Detroit right now in the 4th inning. But it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a race. I think the Diamondbacks got it together against the Braves this week, swept them, had the big comeback. I think they're a team that could get hot and be in it, Marty. But I think everybody's kind of waiting for the Dodgers maybe to win 8-10 in a row. And all of a sudden they go from 1 or 2 up to maybe 5 or 6 up and get a little breathing room. But it hasn't happened yet. And they got a ton of injuries themselves. And, I think that the Giants and the Padres are pretty comparable when you look at it. The Padres may have some names compared to the Giants, but I think, the Braves have a lot of names, to go back to your point on that, but they're not performing consistently to their name or to the baseball card. So I think it gives the Giants a shot. If they're going to keep finding ways to win these close games, enough of them, and they have won enough of them, as much as everybody's pulling their hair out and frustrated the last 2-3 weeks, it's not like the Giants, lost 8 of 10. They were basically splitting these games for the most part. I think it was maybe 5-8 at one point. But you go back a little further and they had swept the A's beyond that. Now they've won 3 in a row here. They're hanging in, which gives you a shot when you're not playing your best baseball. And offensively, certainly the Giants are not playing their best baseball.
No, but pitching and defense wins. And look at the defense last night. Lee loses the ball. How about that in center field? Boy, your heart stop on that one. He can't find it, and then Yastrzemski sort of comes out of nowhere and, he makes the play. Chapman makes the play. Adames made 2 great plays at short last night. And, you're getting that kind of action here. So pitching and defense for the Giants, they're more than just hanging in it, I think. Philly's got 26 losses. Philadelphia's got all sorts of trouble. They have no bullpen. This Romano who they got for Toronto gives it up every day. They don't know what to do. They've got 26. San Diego has 26, and we just talked about them. Their pitching has definitely slowed down, and they're vulnerable to left-handed pitching. They've got 26 losses. Then you get the Giants with 28. Then St. Louis with 28. Then Milwaukee with 30 and Arizona with 31. So Giants are in great shape because they can pitch and catch, and that means a lot here. So I think I'm not conceding anything to the Dodgers. I think the Cubs will probably hang in the Central, and the Mets look like a better team than the Phillies right now in the East. So you can see the division championships to a couple of teams, but everything else I think is wide open. I really do. When you can pitch and catch it the way the Giants do, they keep you in it. and it's been fun. It really has been. I think it's been a lot of fun this season, and heck, fans are showing up. Didn't someone say they had like 140,000 for the Padres series? Is that right?
Yeah, it was big time for the Padres series, and obviously the big weekend. I think they're going to have at least a sellout, if not a couple, today and tomorrow. And no, people are excited. Look, you get off to a hot start where you really start to see it, and you know this, Marty. You start to see it in June and July. You know, school's out and all of that. People are taking time off and want to come to the ballpark. To me, it was so imperative that the Giants get off to a good start. And they made such a big deal about how they were going to, maybe it was going to be a lot of the same players. You add Adames. Maybe it's going to be a lot of the same players, but they're going to go about it differently, right? They're going to get back to playing baseball. It's not going to be as much about the spreadsheet. They're not going to be sending guys up and down, every other day, based on the lineup or who you need. And it got them off to a good start. It changed the vibe, I think, and it got them off to a good start. But a good start is only a good start. It only and at some point you're going to have to augment, the team that your initial team, right? It's a season. It's a living thing, right? You got guys who are coming in. Eventually, it wasn't going to be the same, 25, 28, 26, 28, 30 guys. And so picking the right time to make the moves, I think, is important, especially with, this new regime and led by Buster Posey, and when do you do it? And it was a true crossroads, I think. People were waiting, and the fans always want it before maybe the time is right. But he picked the right time, and I think it's sort of stoked the fire here a little bit, to where they haven't. They didn't completely waste the hot start with a bad week, and now they're right back closer to their high mark. I mean, they win tomorrow, win today, win tomorrow. Win split the next two, win a couple or a few in Colorado. All of a sudden, you're right back to your high mark of the year, and you're still right there in the division race.
And plus, it's how they win. See, early on, they came back. Remember all the comebacks?
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't put them away. So fans got excited about that. And the team also grew and understood that, hey, we can come back in any game. And Flores was out of his mind. He was so hot. So the way they won was huge. Atlanta and the Giants have played the most one-run games in baseball. And when the Giants played all these one-run, two-run games, the pitching and defense and all this, the little things matter. Laying a bunt down, stealing a base, throwing to the right base, getting a double play when you need it. How many double plays did they turn to get out of trouble when they were going through that streak? So there's so many parts of the beginning of the season that led you to believe, hey, this is going to be fun. And I think that's where we are. It's still fun. Because let's face it, they're down to San Diego, what was it, 5-0? And they came back and, it looked like, well, they lost the first two of the series. They're down 5-0. And before you knew it, Chapman homers is 5-3, and Ramos gets the big double, and they're up 6-5, and the bullpen shut the door. Having
How about
Duvall
this
back.
one? How about this one?
Let me just say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Having Duvall back, how about Duvall being back? The turnaround that's done for the bullpen.
It's been amazing. I mean, he looks like he's figured it out. He had the tough start that first weekend against Seattle, and we'll see. I think being back in the closer role, sometimes it can be different. And he had the hiccup against the Padres, but he was dominant last night. I mean, you strike out the side, and he was locked in last night. I wanted to hit the note on the comebacks because
Go ahead.
This was after the game Wednesday, so they come back from 5-0 down. The Giants. It was their 13th win when trailing by 2 or more runs at any point in the game, which is the most in the majors. Obviously, you don't have a good record. Typically, you get down 2 runs. They're 13-18, and then 14-18 because they were down 2-0 on Thursday and came back and won that game with the 3-run answer, and they end up winning that game 3-2. So they've got 14 wins. For a team that at times can struggle with the bats like they do, typically, teams like that aren't comeback teams, but the Giants, Marty, have been a huge comeback team.
Yeah, and in the beginning, the first month, they hit like crazy with runners in scoring position. Remember, they were like 380, and then of course in May they were hitting 080. So it's the nature of baseball. And now this month you'll see how they hit with runners in scoring position to see if it's any better. And that's where the Dominic Smith comes in, and maybe Daniel Johnson will help a little bit. But it's getting Chapman going. Ramos is hot as can be. Ramos is terrific. I love Ramos, the way he plays. Lee is looking much better. And they're looking like a stronger team right now. But they just do the little things to win games. And they force the other team, the old runs thrown in from Flant. You see a lot of that going on. And they're right there. They are right there with everything that's going on. So I think it's exciting. This is a tough month. The Cleveland, Boston's in the middle of this thing. Miami's going to come in here, and they've got their good pitching. But going to Colorado, all of a sudden Colorado is playing pretty good baseball. They're not getting beat 15-1 every game like they were earlier. They're in a lot of tight games, and they won a few of them last week. And then it's the Dodgers. And look, the Dodger Gonsolin today went on the injured list today. Robleski pitched the other day. I mean, there are people pitching here who you don't know. And this is going to be an interesting series with the Dodgers next weekend. That's going to be fun.
One more for you, Marty, and I want to also give you the opportunity to kind of let everybody know what's coming up tomorrow, obviously, on the Giants warm-up
sure.
and all of that. But I made kind of a snide remark. I was in a chat earlier this week, and as I can do sometimes. Somebody had brought up the Rockies, the Rockies, and the Rockies put up, on their social media, hey, vote for the Rockies, for the All-Star team, as every team does, right? And obviously the Rockies are going to get an All-Star because everybody gets an All-Star. And I made a snide comment. I said, well, the Giants are probably going to have as many All-Stars as the Rockies because in my mind at that point, I'm thinking Robbie Ray's a lock, and then it's going to be tough for the Ray. There are others that are in the conversation, but Ray to me is the lock. How many All-Stars do you think the Giants have?
Yeah, I think Webb and Ray, honestly, those two should go. Then going around the team, maybe Flores as sort of a sentimental pick could get in there. The way they do it, sometimes, the manager gets to make a pick and maybe, Flores could be picked. But Dave Roberts is doing the choosing here, so I don't think he's going to go out of his way to pick too many Giants. So let's put it that way.
Extra Dodgers.
Yeah, that's the way they do it, and that's the way this thing works. But Flores, you can make an argument for him. And then in the bullpen, you probably can make an argument for Doval as being one of the bullpen guys, or you can make an argument for Rogers. But that again,
how about Rodriguez? How about Randy Rodriguez?
How about Rodriguez?
Really
yeah,
about
I'm sorry.
Him. I think he's.
Yep.
I mean, if you're considering somebody, I mean, he's been dominant.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you. I'll take Rodriguez first. If there's a bullpen guy from this team that's going, it should be Rodriguez. That's a great call. Yeah. So I'd say Ray, Rodriguez, Webb, and if you really want to stretch it, maybe Flores could squeeze in there.
Yeah. No, I think they've got guys in the conversation. And again, this is when the things weren't, going as well. This was before the last 3 days. I kind of say, well, hey, you joke about the Rockies. We'll see how many the Giants end up getting. Certainly the Giants obviously having a much better year. But yeah, Rodriguez would be the one guy. And he's just been lights out and with guys on base. And I mean, he looks like a future closer. I know Duvall got the job back and he's been dominant, but Randy Rodriguez, I think, looks like a guy who could be pitching the ninth inning here at some point pretty soon throughout his career. Marty, what do you got coming up tomorrow for everybody on Giants warm-up before I let you go?
Yeah, no, but thanks for asking. We started at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and Raph, of course, will be there. We're on the stream, too. And we start off with Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. I think he's the best analytical guy in the country, and he breaks it down so we all can understand it. And then, of course, after that, we go to Bruce Jenkins, and Bruce and I kick it around about, just like you and I are doing, about this team and what's going on in baseball. And then from there, with the professor, Ron Wotus, we'll go through. Has he ever seen a ball thrown from the stands before? How about that?
Wow.
Well, and I'll talk about that. And then Glenn Kuiper wraps it up with us, and we squeeze it all into about an hour. We'll try to do that tomorrow. And that'll be the show tomorrow. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And it's a good time of year. And I don't know, the game last night had so many parts to it, so many parts. And that Dominic Smith with the 2 sacrifice flies, and heck, Tristan Beck shutting the faucet when things were going down. I don't know. There was a lot last night that looked good to me. I liked it.
Marty, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, and have a great show tomorrow. Enjoy the ball game today.
Yeah, I thought of you this week because they had some stat of the best strikeout to walk ratio.
Uh-oh.
You know who it is?
Samardzija? Was Samar?
Yep. Your favorite guy. And people should understand, JD and I sat next to each other for years in the press box. Samardzija was not his favorite player, let me put it to you that way.
You've heard a lot of my snarky comments and had to ignore a few others.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. All right. JD, thanks, have a great day. Nice to talk to you.
All righty. Good talking to you. The great Marty Lurie joining us here on Giants Warm-Up. We got the Giants and the Braves coming up. Diamond Notes ahead here. We'll take a look at some of Logan Webb's dominance, in particular his dominance at home, as the Giants ready to try and make it 4 in a row. They'll go out at game 2 of the 3-game set against the Braves, and we're talking about it. John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley. It's Giants Warm-Up here on the Sports Leader.
While Bob Melvin preps the men in orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
All right, moving along here on a Saturday morning. It's John Dickinson in for Kerry Crowley. Giants and the Atlanta Braves. San Francisco coming in 36-28. They've won 3 in a row after dropping the first 2 games of the homestand and the first 2 games of their series against the Padres. It's Logan Webb, 5-5 with a 2.55 ERA against Bryce Elder, 2-3 with a 4.56 earned run average as well. As the Giants trying to clinch the series victory by winning the second of the 3-game set. The Giants back to 8 over 500. Their high water mark for the season is 10 over 500, and they're doing it with the close games, and they're doing it with the comebacks. No comeback last night as the Giants jumped out to the 3-0 lead. The Braves came back on them, forced the game into extra innings with the Giants with the thrilling walk-off wild pitch. Who says you need to get a hit to win a game and come up in the clutch? The Giants getting the job done there in the bottom of the 10th. The bullpen continues to perform, and we'll see if Logan Webb can build off of what was his best start of the season against the Padres on Monday as the Giants take on the Atlanta Braves. We're going in the other direction. It was great to talk to Marty Lurie and hear from Marty about everything going on with this team and baseball. And he made the point. I mean, the Braves, they got off to an 0-7 start and had been playing much better baseball since then. They played the Dodgers and Padres to begin the season, the first couple of series out in Southern California, and they were 0-7. And from that point on, had worked their way back to a couple of games over 500, but now they've dropped 5 in a row, and you look at the standings, and they're big time hurting right now. They're 3-7. Actually, let me correct that. They're 2-8 in the last 10. And they've dropped 5 in a row. They're not playing well on the road, 10-21 overall. And they've had some difficult losses, especially these last 2. Losing a 6-run lead in the 9th inning on Thursday and then coming back. But the Giants getting the better of them in the 10th inning last night to take the opener of the series. Giants lineup out again. We'll reiterate that. Daniel Johnson in center field for Jung-Hoo Lee today. Elliot Ramos in left field. Wilmer Flores, the designated hitter, batting third. Matt Chapman batting fourth, playing third base. Dominic Smith, who has driven in a couple of runs in each of the last 2 games for the Giants, the win over the Padres on Thursday afternoon and the win last night. Couple of sac flies for Dominic Smith in the game last night. He is batting fifth and playing first base. He's also played a pretty clean first base to this point. Willie Adames batting sixth at shortstop. Mike Yastrzemski out in right field and batting seventh. Patrick Bailey is in the 8-hole and catching Logan Webb. Day game after a night game after he got the start last night as well with Hayden Birdsong on the mound. And Tyler Fitzgerald is batting ninth at second base with Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. We're talking about all-stars and this is something maybe we can get into because the All-Star voting has just started here, and every team obviously gets one. And I made the joke. I mean, there was somebody in a group chat talking, making the snarky remark about the Rockies, and only, obviously every team's going to get one representative. So even the lowly Rockies at 12-51 are going to get a representative into the All-Star game. But I was thinking about it, and I thought at the time, again, just based on the layout positionally and so many good players, obviously, across Major League Baseball and in particular in the National League, I was thinking of it in terms of, well, who would the Giants' one All-Star be? And every team's going to get one. And I think the guy with the number one best case, this guy should be an All-Star, is Robbie Ray. If you were telling me the Giants were only going to get one, Robbie Ray would be the guy, I think. And, I mean, you just look at how he's performed this season. 8-1, 244. He's got a 1.07 whip. He's 87 strikeouts. The Giants have only lost 2 of his starts. And, again, the one loss for him was 1-0. The one Robbie Ray loss, 1-0 a week ago in Miami in the second game of that series. He has been outstanding. And, 9 strikeouts in each of his last 2 outings. I mean, he's just been, you look at a strikeout number, 9, 7, 7, 9. He sneaks in a 5 against the Cubs, 8 against Colorado, 8 against Texas. I mean, he is striking guys out left and right. We're talking 7 a start. He's pitching at a Cy Young caliber level right now for the Giants. So to me, Robbie Ray is the one lock All-Star if you're going to get one. And I was asking Marty, and look, Wilmer Flores, the start that he got off to, I think definitely deserves some consideration for a good chunk of the first couple of months of the year. I mean, Flores has been right there among the league leaders or leading the league in terms of runs batted in. So that, without a doubt, garners some consideration, I think, in a big-time way. I mean, you look at Wilmer Flores, he's got 10 homers, 48 driven in. He's been clutch. Case to be made for Wilmer Flores. Case to be made, I think, for Elliot Ramos. 296, 11, and 33 coming into play today. So there are cases to be made. I think Duvall has been dominant, but hasn't been back in the closer role for long enough, I think, to garner the consideration out of that spot. And then I think if you start to look at, Logan Webb's got a case just based on the fact that, I mean, his overall numbers, you can nitpick some of Logan Webb's individual starts, and, he's got, there's quite a few of those. 5-6 innings, gives up 3. You can look at that and say, all right, well, that maybe by comparison to some others takes him out of the All-Star conversation. But you look up at his you look at these 5-5 with a 2.55. He's 7th in strikeouts. He's got 91 strikeouts. And we're talking about Robbie Ray. Logan Webb's got more strikeouts than Robbie Ray. And the Giants with 2 top strikeout starters in the National League, in the majors. So, I mean, you look at it, and Logan Webb, I think, has got a case. Randy Rodriguez is the one, though. Randy Rodriguez is the one, for me, that if there was going to be, and look, setup guys always end up, middle relievers always end up, getting the short end of the stick usually, although it feels like every year there's one. Feels like it's all the starters and then all the closers that get the spots in terms of the pitchers, and then there's like one middle guy or one setup guy that's just the dominant of all dominant in terms of his role, and I think Randy Rodriguez has been that guy. If they choose to go with that guy, he would be that guy. And Randy Rodriguez, the lowest ERA in the majors for anyone who's thrown a minimum of 26 innings, 0.64 ERA for Randy Rodriguez, and everything that's he's done in terms of just putting out fires. I mean, left and right, getting thrown into difficult situations, throwing over 100 with the four-seamer. And the job that he did Wednesday, that first career save, comes in the ninth inning with the Giants having a huge comeback against the Padres and gets out of the jam. And he's just been the guy that's gotten out of the jam. 26 of 27 appearances, no runs. Just spectacular. He's been phenomenal. So Randy Rodriguez, I think, is among all of the relievers, Randy Rodriguez has got a case. I think Randy Rodriguez might have the number. He might have the number 2 case on the squad if you were really kind of breaking it down. But if you want to chime in on that, 808 KNBR, who should the Giants All-Stars be? Obviously, we still got almost a month, about 3.5 weeks, I guess, 3.5 to 4 weeks in terms of figuring out who's going to be the All-Stars for 2025. But, yeah, I think Ramos has got a case. I think Wilmer's got a case. I think Robbie Ray is a lock. I think Randy Rodriguez I'd probably put number 2 if you had to rank him. And Logan Webb, I think, to a certain extent, has a case when you look at his overall numbers. And he's been unbelievable at home. We'll get you those numbers on Logan Webb coming up in Diamond Notes. 808 KNBR. All right, let's take a quick timeout. 415-808-5627. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch as Giants warm-up rolls on with John Dickinson and for Kerry Crowley here on the Sports League.
it's time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, welcome back. John Dickinson sitting in for Kerry Crowley here on this Saturday. Giants and the Atlanta Braves coming up 1:05 first pitch. Logan Webb and Bryce Elder as the Giants looking to make it 4 in a row overall and win their second of this 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 is the number, the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line. We'll get to some texts coming up here. We're talking about potential Giants All-Stars in the last segment. Pleasure to have Marty Lurie join the program as well prior to that. But let's get to the phones. Mark in San Francisco chiming in here on a late Saturday morning on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, not much, John. I agree with you that Rodriguez should be an all-star. And also, what has happened is, really, Jordan Hicks is the odd man out now. And I think the Giants ought to explore trading him. He could be a closer for some teams. I wouldn't give him away, but I would explore trading him because you might be able to get a bat in return for him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Jordan Hicks signed a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Giants. And so, I mean, you look at his contract, I mean, he's in, year 2 of that contract. And so it's going to be tough. I mean, he's under contract 12.5 this year, 12.5 next year, 12.5 in 2027. So I think at this point, he's going to have to show that he can perform a little bit. I mean, you say don't give him away, which I can understand. But at this point, I mean, it probably would be hard to find somebody that would take, considering his struggles, that player on with the 2.5 years plus still remaining on his deal at that price point. So I think they're going to have to figure out a role for him where he can be effective, obviously in the pen. But you're right. I mean, you look at the Giants bullpen right now, and you just lay it all out. And I mean, he is the odd man out. I mean, to say the least, coming from the starting rotation. I mean, you've got Doval now back in the closer role. You've got Walker, you've got Rogers, you've got Randy Rodriguez, you've even got Bivens, who got the big out last night. Tristan Beck got a couple big outs last night. Jelly's back up as well. And so, yeah, and Hicks obviously is on the injured list right now as well, which is something that has to, you obviously aren't going to be trading an injured player. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But I think they're going to have to find some kind of a role for him, to where he can show a little bounce back ability before there'll be a value in terms of looking to move him for somebody that can really contribute.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, John. I just think that some teams may need pitching so bad they might be willing to take a risk. He's got closer stuff if you really look at it, and he hasn't been used right because they tried to make him a starter. And, he's really a reliever. He can give you 3-4 good innings and throw hard, but after that, it's been kind of shaky. So I think maybe some team might be interested. We'll see, but I would definitely look into maybe moving him for a bat.
Yeah, I would agree. I like him more as a reliever, but again, the Giants, part of, and thank you for the call, part of why he came to the Giants before the 2024 season was the fact that he viewed himself as wanting to be a starter, and the Giants were amenable to facilitating that, to allowing him to try and grow into being a starter. And it worked out first half of last year, and then he kind of ran out of gas, and it wasn't working out at the beginning of this year. I like him more as a reliever as well, compared to somebody that's a starter. I think his stuff plays. And he's been an elite reliever at different points of his career. So you never know. Again, the Giants are on the hook for the 12.5. Again, not astronomical money in today's day and age, 12.5, 12.5, 12.5. This year, 26 and 27. And, maybe it winds up being one of those trades where there's a player at a different position that is making similar money with similar time left on the contract. And, you have to pay Jordan Hicks anyway. So you pay the guy on another team at a different position, the Jordan Hicks money, and they pay Jordan Hicks, and you just kind of the you're underperforming player for my underperforming player, and if the contracts they don't have to match necessarily, but basically if it ends up being a wash in terms of the financials both ways, then maybe it winds up being a change of scenery, fresh start kind of a situation there. So, but yeah, Hicks currently on the IL. But yeah, you look at, the Giants and the bullpen. All the names. The Giants bullpen has just been tremendous. And you look at the roster and the bullpen, and it's hard to factor him having a role. Although I do think he could have a role, at some point if he gets himself right as a reliever. And the Giants bullpen already right up there, and a right toe inflammation for Hicks, by the way, as he went on the injured list going back to June the 2nd. So that was one that kind of popped up here within the week. And so he's missed the last 5 games. But yeah, somebody that, again, I think you can look to, if it's, your underperformer versus, for my underperformer. But the Giants are just the thing that stands out, again, just looking at this, is just how deep the Giants are in terms of the bullpen. They bring up Sean Jelly on Wednesday, and Sean Jelly's getting out of jams and, stopping the bleeding in a game they're down 5-0. And he's somebody that couldn't make the team, but has been a productive reliever at points in his career for the Giants. Bivens has been in some big spots and been able to come through. Tristan Beck came through big last night in the 5th inning when Hayden Birdsong was a little wild, and the Braves were coming back in that game, kept the Giants ahead 3-2. He wasn't initially on the squad. And then Doval and Rogers and Walker, who's had a little more hiccup lately, including last night giving up the homer to Olsen. And then Randy Rodriguez might be a freaking all-star, for crying out loud. So, it's kind of an embarrassment of riches in terms of the bullpen. Even though there have been hiccups here and there, the overall numbers speak for themselves. And then they're bringing up guys from the minor leagues that are coming up and able to be contributors. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. It's John Dickinson in here for Kerry Crowley. Giants and the Atlanta Braves set to go at it game 2 of the 3-game series, with Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco as they try to take the series. And this would make it a winning homestand for the Giants as well. Now 3-2 after dropping the first 2 you get today. You get the series, you get a winning homestand, you get a chance to potentially go for the sweep. Coming up on Sunday afternoon before you're going to Colorado. And yeah, I know the Rockies are playing a little bit better, but this is kind of it feels like a swing moment possibly for the Giants. And Wednesday night felt like a swing moment, potentially back in a positive direction for this club after 2.5, 3 weeks of just some really, really frustrating baseball in terms of the offense and inability to hit with runners in scoring position or make productive outs even with runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs. But maybe the Giants are starting to snap out of that funk a little bit. And if they are and they continue to get the pitching, look out. This is a team that can get on another little bit of a run if the bats were to get hot for a week to 10 days and you continue to get that pitching. You get the pitching the Giants have been getting, regularly this season, and you get a week of the bats, and again, it doesn't have to be 7-8 runs. You get a week of 4-5 runs with that pitching. 10 days of that, 10 games of that, you might go 8-2. And then all of a sudden you got action in a major way as it relates not only to the division, but the wild card. And I saw on the text line 408, JD, do you think the NL West is realistic being 2 games out at this point? Yeah. I would not have said it, and I didn't say it coming into the year. I mean, I thought coming into the year, and we have a few votes for Elliot Ramos in terms of the All-Star ballot. But do you think it's realistic? Yeah, of course. You're 2 out. June 7th, long way to go. But the Dodgers, at least to this point, have not been, and they've been really banged up, but they have not been the team that I think everybody expected them to be coming off of the World Series win last year. With the, they're going to win 115, 120. They're not going to win 115 games. They're not going to win 120 games. And at this point, they're on, at least for them, they're on kind of ordinary pace. Now, again, you win 10 in a row. I think the Dodgers are capable of winning 10 in a row at any point. And you start to do the math. And it's, they're still not playing their best, but they're still on pace to win 96. It's funny to think about. They're on pace to win 96. The Giants right now on pace to win 91, which would be an amazing season. But you're 2 games out on June 7th, and you've potentially weathered a pretty bad storm in terms of offensive production the last 3 weeks, because I think that's the story. The story, as bad as it was offensively, the story is that the Giants have weathered it and been able to still win games and not have it completely wreck the start that they were able to get off to. And look, often seasons are about finding a way to win that one game that looks like it's going to spin you farther down the rabbit hole, like Wednesday, and then you turn it into 2 or 3 more. I mean, that is just how baseball works. You find a way to win one, then you get a big hit early the next game. All of a sudden, you're scoring 3 runs in the first inning last night, and the momentum just continues to spin positively into the next day, where now you got your ace on the mound. I know Robbie Ray's probably been more the ace than Logan Webb, but Logan Webb's your ace. And you got 2 big boys at the top of that rotation now. And anytime you can get wins in games where those guys are not pitching, knowing that you've got those guys pitching coming up, look out. It's an opportunity to really make some hay, and I think that's where the Giants are, going up against a struggling Atlanta Braves team. All right, let's take a quick timeout here. We'll come back, and we'll get you to Giants pregame. It's JD right here on the Sports Leader.
Now back to the show built for the Orange and Black family. This is Giants Warm Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, final segment. Giants Warm Up. John Dickinson for Kerry Crowley. It's been a pleasure here over the last 2 hours. Couple of minutes to go. We'll get you to Giants pregame. We got Diamond Notes, all that good stuff coming up. Giants at 36-28. Braves at 27-35. Game 2 of the 3-game series. It's Logan Webb against Bryce Elder in this one. As we got you the Giants lineup earlier, we'll run through it again here. Daniel Johnson in center field, leading off and giving Jung-Hoo Lee a day. Elliot Ramos in left field, batting second. Wilmer Flores, the designated hitter. Hitting third, Matt Chapman. In the cleanup spot, Dominic Smith playing first base. Willie Adames at shortstop. Mike Yastrzemski in right field and batting seventh. Patrick Bailey in there to pair with Logan Webb, batting eighth and catching. And then Tyler Fitzgerald is batting ninth and playing second base. Fitzgerald with the game-winning run last night in the bottom of the 10th on the wild pitch. And then Logan Webb, 5-5 with a 2.55 ERA. Let's get you the Braves lineup as well, as we haven't mentioned that as of yet here in our final 2.5 minutes or so. Ronald Acuna leading off and playing right field. Ronald Acuna Jr. As he hits .327 with 4 home runs and 7 driven in. Drake Baldwin batting second and catching, the left-handed hitting catcher there at .308 with 7 homers and 18 driven in. Austin Riley, third base, batting third. Matt Olson with the 2-run poke last night in the 7th inning to tie the game after Austin Riley had singled. That coming off for Ryan Walker. Olson's got 13 homers. He is in the cleanup spot for the Braves. And playing first base, Marcell Ozuna in the 5th spot at designated hitter. Michael Harris in center field and batting 6th for the Braves. Then Ozzie Albies, who hit 5th last night, gets dropped down to 7th against Logan Webb, 230, 6 homers, and 24 driven in for Ozzie Albies. The switch hitter playing second base, Alex Verdugo, the former Dodgers prospect that ended up with the Red Sox and the Yankees, and now with Atlanta. Alex Verdugo is batting 8th and playing in left field with Nick Allen batting 9th and playing shortstop for the Braves. So Acuna, Baldwin, Riley, Olson, Ozuna, Harris, Albies, Verdugo, and Nick Allen going up against Logan Webb in this one as the Giants look to bounce back and continue their momentum. No bouncing back. They're looking to continue the momentum flat out off of winning these last 3 games. And will we see another one-run affair for the Giants? It's been all one-run games throughout the entirety of the homestand. We'll see if the Giants can maybe get off to a little bit of a lead, get Logan Webb pitching as well as he did on Monday against the Padres, and if the Giants can get this series and clinch themselves a winning homestand. All right, we're going to be talking about it all coming up. Diamond Note straight ahead, but it's Giants pregame. It's the Giants and the Braves right here on the Sports Leader.